We want to discuss AI, smart cities, and data-driven sustainability. And I'm the editor-in-chief of T3N and MIT Technology Review. And on the panel today are 4 experts with me who are driving sustainability and technology forward from very different perspectives. Sophia is CMO of 1,5 Grad, a platform for carbon neutral energy, heat, and mobility. She's business psychologist, author, and has been shaping innovation in the digital energy and mobility environment for 15 years. Peter Wawer has been division president, Green Industrial Power. What a long title. At Infineon, since 2016, he studied electrical engineering at the Technical University of Berlin, where he also received his PhD in 1997. He began his career at Infineon at the same year, so over 25 years now. Jan Kottmann. Jan is global lead strategic programs in the government affairs and public policy team at Google. He focused on enhancing strategic goals for key products like search, maps, ads, news, Gemini, and commerce, leading long-term policy and public affairs campaigns. And last but not least, Ulrich Ahle is a reputed executive in the IT sector. He became CEO of the Gaia-X Association. Today, he's especially here due to his work as local politician. Ulrich has been involved in local politics in Borchen on a voluntary basis for over 30 years and has been the head of his home village of Etteln for 10 years. And this hometown was named as the Smart City of the Year in 2024, even placed ahead of cities like Hong Kong. So, again, a warm applause for my panelists. So, we want to spend the next 30 minutes discussing how AI and data can advance sustainability in a practical, solution-oriented and inspiring way. So the first thing I want to address is that the topic of sustainability has more or less disappeared from public perception, or has almost turned into a certain lack of interest, I would say. Yeah? So we got war, we have Trump, and a difficult economic situation. It's not a great surprise. So Sophia, before we talk about especially AI, what do you think we have to actually do to bring the importance of the topic back to the forefront?
Yeah, very good question. I mean, look, exactly, it's fact right now. If you see studies or research surveys, it's definitely the trend that people have less interest and willingness to change something when it comes to an investment in renewable energies or in sustainability overall. So it's given. From my perspective as a communicator and also designing interaction with customers, and at the end more B2C customers, it is not that bad, to be honest, because the communication which we had before was exactly what you said, driven by war scenarios, shock scenarios, or a hype. It was super vogue to do something with sustainability. And right now we have more, I would say, a neutral floor, a base, where we really talk about efficiency, about efficient solutions, and about results. And that's, to be honest, healthy. And I see it more like a cleaning process right now and an honest communication about solutions. So we have, at the end, one efficient solution when it comes to energy. And what we see right now, what helps a lot, if you bring customers like the Norbert from Göttingen or someone else into the front as influencer, and that tell the people why he invested in renewable energy, for example. So it's about realistic daily life stories and, as I said, results. And this helps a lot right now because then people feel like, okay, it's reality. It's not like woke and nice CMO is talking about fancy stuff around sustainability. So I see it right now more as a huge chance to talk more based on facts and based on results about the entire sustainability topic.
Talking about daily life experiences, Ulrich, in Etteln, so for example, you said it's especially in local communities, it is important to involve the citizens in projects like a smart city in Etteln. So can you tell us a little bit about how do you do it?
Yeah, that's very important for me that we don't do digitization for the sake of digitization, but to improve the quality of life of our citizens, to protect our environment. And what we did, and this is probably not possible in larger cities, but Etteln is a small village just below 2,000 inhabitants. And in rural areas, we have clearly a tradition for voluntarily work. And we involved a lot of people. For example, to have the digital infrastructure for all the things we did during the last years. 5 years ago, we deployed 30 kilometers of fiber in a voluntary basis. So 65 people spent 3,500 hours, and we deployed fiber in the outside area of the village to 55 houses. So it's our one. And we have a digital village car, for example, connected to the internet. An electric car, a 7-seater Nissan, can be used free of charge by the citizens. And all people are taking care of it. And we are involving them. And one final example, especially to help older people to participate from this, we have created the so-called Seniors Computer Club. We have trained some special people, some trainers, who are helping them. We bought 10 notebooks, 17-inch notebooks, large ones, and they are slowly helping them to get access to the digital world and to involve them and to help them to participate. And this is a few examples of how we are integrating the people in our village into what we are doing.
I can add that because I love that example. It's the same for us. I mean, we sell heat pumps and solar panels and storages. It's not really sexy, but what changed right now is that the best marketing activity or education activity is a barbecue evening where our customers invite the neighborhood and talk really about a heat pump, right? It's so sometimes so funny and ridiculous, but it's so powerful. And then you have a change power or transformation power out of the neighborhood and not done by technology experts or political guys. And that's super important right now. Yeah.
Okay, so when we want to talk about AI and especially what AI can do for sustainability in cities, for example, Jan, you at Google are also doing a lot of stuff in the field of AI, sustainability, and cities that may not necessarily be visible. So what exactly is that, and where do you see the greatest benefit for people in urban areas through the use of AI?
You're right, it's not per se visible what we do in the background with the data that we provide, but the results are very visible, and the facts speak a clear language. First of all, let me just express my admiration of the product, of your achievements in Etteln and what you did. For me, that is a strong signal. That's also a lot the people that make a difference. And what we do at Google with the data that we have, with the reach that we have, it's about 2 billion Maps users coming every month to use Google Maps, use the data, but some of them are drivers. But also with the data accuracy that we have, we can support a fact basis for the people that drive sustainability and that solve problems. For us, it's not we have AI, so let's do something with it. For us, it's more we do AI because a village has a sustainability problem, which is ABC, because we have a transport problem in system. And so we offer solutions for both the decision makers.
But do you talk with cities directly?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yes, we do. What I'm personally also, and many of my colleagues do on a day-to-day basis, that we sit down with mayors, sit down with digitization officers in cities and prefectures and smaller cities and talk about what are the top 3 challenges that you have, which we maybe can solve through AI, and then we can just look into what we already offer. What is the demand that we could basically provide solutions to at scale. And this is what I've been to the ITS Congress yesterday about city, urban transport, and so forth. We were talking about just that, right? And what we can deliver from the 3 big things that we do, reach, valuable data set, and our AI competence is provide data and insights. What we do for decision makers with the Environmental Insights Explorer, for instance, you can see transport emission data, historical, you can see different modes of transport that people use in your city, building emissions, but also you can plan for your solar panel changes in your city. So in Etteln, you could look through satellite data and make an analysis, which is also AI powered on where the best places would be on roofs. You could also plan in terms of do we have enough trees in a city? Lisbon has a heat problem, right, during the summer. So they looked at where do we have trees planted, because they make cities cooler, and so they can plant on the right spots. Same thing as for nudging users to not basically be frustrated about sustainability. We can do that pretty easily where they drive cars. We can tell them there's a fast route, but there's also a fast and less emission, less fuel spending route. Makes you save money, and that nudges you to be much more environmental in your roads. We made an analysis on, we call this eco-friendly routing, and in the first 2 years we came to a number of emission reduction that equaled about taking 650,000 cars off the road for an entire year, and that makes a huge difference.
Okay. Talking about the consumption side, Sophia, at 1,5 grad, your network solar systems, electric storage systems, electric cars, heat pumps, and so on for the households. So how does AI specifically help to control this interaction more intelligent and thus save more energy on reducing CO2?
Yeah. First of all, a very important point what you said. Whenever we start to an education talk or a sales talk with people, we need to focus and underline the benefit, right? We need to talk about the benefits, and that's also what we do and what AI makes possible. Cleanest energy is really the cheapest energy, so really the lowest cost for that. And when we started to tell this story 2 years ago, that was a game changer. Before we had really more, it was driven by 1,5, a big vision, amazing founders team, and so on, blah, blah, blah. But at the end, it was really about that benefit. And that benefit is only possible through AI. Why? Because you mentioned that already. You start with hardware, of course. You need maybe heat pump or storage in your house or solar panel for an own production. But the key, I would say, is not so much about solar production, so energy production, because we have already a lot of energy in the system with sun, with wind, and so on. It is about flexibility. We need to learn to bring our, I would say, ability or behavior of how we use and consume energy in the rhythm of Mother Nature, and that's wind and sun, because we cannot control that. And this is what AI is doing. AI is analyzing tons of data, for example, stock exchange prices, because there is like crypto, like exchanges of companies, like flowers. There's also for energy prices a stock exchange. And here you know already the price of the tomorrow. And the AI is now taking the price, is taking your energy pattern at home, is analyzing which devices you have, the performance about your devices, is analyzing the weather data from different providers. And based on that, AI is deciding what is the cheapest way or sort of using energy right now.
But do you see with the newer AI generations, especially generative AI, do you see really a difference in the efficiency you reach with your product? Or is it, okay, we talk about machine algorithms we are dealing with for a couple of years?
It is, in our case, not so much about generative AI, but of course what we use is not only if and then function, it's really a learning system which learns without any human add-ons, so to say, and it learns really from different simulations, from different energy markets, and that's a beauty, because the entire energy system is not just Germany, as we now learned with Spain, for example, and the blackout. It's really connected over countries, so we can learn a lot from, for example, simulations in Sweden, in Denmark. They are ahead of us when it comes to renewable energy, and this is, for example, included in the learning mechanism of our AI. Yeah, so it's more than a mechanical if-then.
Yeah, okay. Ulrich, what role plays AI in Etteln? Is there some project of which you would say, okay, this is really a game changer because we can use some new AI models?
Yeah, several, even several. Just to give 2 or 3 examples, we deployed a lot of sensors, and when talking about sustainability, we also need to talk about resilience. And we are developing a flood pre-warning system. Creating and using AI to create a forecast how a flood especially in a heavy rain situation will develop, and to create a pre-warning system for the citizens to finally to protect their lives. That's one example. Another example, and I'm allowed to talk about this since Monday, our practitioner in the village closed his office 2 years ago because he reached the age of 74 and wasn't able to find a successor. And now, together with a large health insurance in Germany, we do a pilot for digital, what is Praxis? What's Praxis?
Practice.
Digital practice where not a doctor will be, but an assistant with a lot of digital devices analyzing your blood, your weight, looking into your mouth with a camera to do a 3D model of the inside of the mouth. All this data will be uploaded to a platform, pre-analyzed by AI, and then the result is presented to the doctor who is sitting in the next village. He's analyzing it. You do a video conference with a patient who is in our village in Etteln, and the target is that the doctor needs to see only 20% of the patients physically, that they need to come to him, and that he is able to help 80% of them remotely using AI.
Okay. When we talk about AI, all the AI we are using cannot work or function without infrastructure. So I'm talking about chips and semiconductors. So Peter, can you give us a glimpse of the latest developments in semiconductors? And I have two things I'm interested in. The cooperation with NVIDIA you announced yesterday. Keyword here is grid to core. It's really interesting. And the other thing is that you published a product carbon footprint tool that allows customers to track the exact carbon footprint of their semiconductors products. So, but perhaps first tell us something about your cooperation with NVIDIA. What are you doing there and what is your hope for?
Yeah, thanks, Luca. If you allow me, first a very short recap what semiconductors and AI have to do together. And I think there are two important topics. Everybody of us uses AI for many hours per day based on the smartphone. And the smartphone is based on semiconductors. So the AI data center who is behind all the processing of data is connected to the smartphone. And this needs huge processing power. These are the halls who are crammed with semiconductors, with processors made by Intel, AMD, but most recently, of course, NVIDIA, who's the specific star in the AI processing contest. That's one dimension of semiconductors. The other dimension is the power. These data centers are extremely power hungry. To give you an idea where we are today, global electricity consumption of data centers is in the range of 450 terawatt hours per year. Okay, terawatt hours is a very abstract number. It's somehow the whole electricity Germany consumes per year, or all private households in Europe, to give us an idea. The interesting thing is the electricity bill is the biggest operational spending of the data center operators. If you do the math, based on 5 cents per kilowatt hour, which is a very aggressive pricing. Privately in Germany, you pay 30 something typically. It's a ticket that these guys have to spend per year of 25 billion only for electricity. So here, the advancements of power semiconductors increase the efficiency, reducing the losses, reducing the heat and the energy required. So if you achieve, which we do every 1 or 2nd year, if you do achieve 1% efficiency improvement, you save 250 million euro every year. So that's a huge motivation to drive innovation to provide more efficient devices. And on top, the use cases, and I was also very impressed learning about Ulrich's activities and of course also 1,5, the activities which make use of AI require more of computational power. So it's assumed that the amount of data centers will double until the end of the decades, in 5 years. So all these numbers I have given times 2 in only 5 years. And therefore, we have to push for even more efficient devices, and of course, we have to enable supply chain. And that leads to your second question. We have to do it in a very efficient way regarding CO2 emissions. And the good news is, also, as you said, Sophia, the economics is there. I'm not concerned at all. Will we be able to supply this kind of energy in a green and efficient way? The clear answer is yes. because already today, globally, 500 gigawatts of PV panels, for example, are installed every year. So it's a huge number where we are able to provide this energy in an efficient way. But now the operators want to understand what is the carbon footprint, what are you causing while ordering, building these data centers, etc. And we as a supplier in the value chain, we want to provide transparency. And that is basically where we now are on our way to provide for all our products, more than half already available, the exact footprint, the transparency, what is the CO2 kg for every product we sell. For each and every chip, we want to be transparent. You can download it as a customer on our webpage. You know exactly what the product carbon footprint of the single device is that you buy for powering your data center, for example.
So do you think we need such precise data as a standard for the whole industry? Would this help us more? Yeah.
Absolutely. So it's providing transparency, which enables us then also to attack or address the root causes for CO2 generation. So the first thing is having the ability to be transparent, having the data available. There also AI might help to generate this transparency, and it's about to create a standard in the industry. It's not yet there. The discussion is becoming heated, and we want to be a leader as a company driving these standards forward, looking also for semiconductors.
Jan, when there's a company with a lot of data, then it's Google, yes? So what do you think, what are the biggest obstacles to pursue a consistent data strategy, for example, with cities? So I could imagine they all have different data sets. So how to bring these data sets together to do stuff you described before?
Yeah. So basically the obstacles to come to a perfect data situation where you just can pick the data that you need in a privacy-friendly way and crunch them with BigQuery, detecting correlations. The list of the obstacles is really, really long. And it starts when we take a more global perspective, by the pure accessibility to energy and the internet. And that isn't granted in vast parts of the world. So that is number one. Second order here is just the knowledge and the skill set. You need specific data sets that are curated in a way that you can read them out and combine them. And so building up these skills in cities, but in many other places is absolutely essential. The second thing is, for me, one of the biggest issues that I face when I talk to cities, silo. Data is fragmented in different formats and the different policies in different parts. When you look at cities with different districts, it's all decentralized. And it comes from a system where digitalization was not the start of the journey, but maybe the end of the journey. So we have paper, right? And then the last pillar that I want to mention is basically access to data in terms of security issues, in terms of privacy concerns. That leads to hesitation of sharing data, and that needs practical solutions, I suppose. What I face often is more of a presumption of all that might not be in line with the GDPR, the data protection regulation in Europe, as it's very complex. It's very hard to make these assessments when you deal with a lot of data and complex data. So I think pragmatic solutions which rebalance that interest against the sustainability interest that we have would be a good option now that we're looking back into the GDPR and see whether we are competitive in Europe.
So Ulrich, how do you do with this? Do you also have silos of data at Etteln? Or how do you deal with your data?
And that's exactly the reason why the jury of the global IEEE Smart City contest has chosen Etteln as the winner. Yeah. And that was really the main reason. The second prize went to Hong Kong. And after the award ceremony in Pattaya in Thailand, 2 weeks later, I was invited for a conference in Hong Kong. I went there a day earlier and met with the Smart City people who applied for this prize and who got the second prize. And they created a fantastic solution to manage all the 8,000 public buildings in Hong Kong. All buildings younger than 5 years are completely digitized. All older ones are activated step by step. They have a large control room. Fantastic. Saved the energy consumption by 7.5%, reduced the maintenance cost, increased the quality of the uses of the of the buildings, but it is a silo for the buildings. And next to it is a data silo for mobility and a third one for energy in Hong Kong. And this is not the way to go, definitely not the way to go. And to mention carbon footprint, and I have to talk a second about Gaia-X, because that's what I'm doing. The things in Etteln are just my hobby. And we are creating data spaces in Gaia-X in different domains. And the topic of carbon footprint is the most relevant use case in the different domains. To calculate the carbon footprint of Series 5 BMW, for example, along the whole supply chain. Or yesterday in Hamburg, I had a meeting with Edeka to calculate the carbon footprint of an apple, harvested in Hamburg and have been in a cooling house for 6 months, or an apple coming from Morocco by airplane, which one has the lower carbon footprint? And sometimes it's really surprising.
Yeah, but one question again. What is very interesting, what does the politicians from Hong Kong ask you from Etteln? So what are you doing so good that you get the first prize?
It's simply the whole concept, the strategy which is behind it, and that we are strictly following the strategy to implement it. We are using open source, we are using open standards, open APIs. It is reusable, and we are now working on deploying what we did within the region. So that's simply what we're doing. And I've been leading the Wawer Foundation here in Berlin for 7 years. In the meantime, the globally leading open source technology for smart cities, also used in Etteln. And I had the privilege really to travel around the world and to see a lot of good solutions, and several of them can be found in Etteln, just combined in a holistic solution.
Let's visit Etteln.
Yeah, exactly. Place to be.
Sophia.
I just wanted to add here, because both of you mentioned this CO2 carbon footprint, which we need to make transparent, right? And I think on the one hand, it's super important, but often I have the question, because you talk about the apple at Edeka, is that already enough? Is then their willingness to buy this maybe more expensive or the different apple if I need to change my behavior? Do you know what I mean? And often I see it that transparency is super important. We also do that in our app, but it's not enough. You need incentivation, financial motivation, that you really change behavior, at least here in German culture, I think. And this is often the question, maybe also my final sentence, what I hope that we can show that in future, or maybe AI is helping here, to create more a picture about benefits. What's in it for the people? If they change, if they buy now the transparent carbon footprint better apple, I think transparency is not enough for the change in behavior.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're out of time, but one last question. Jan, because I'm an editor-in-chief of a tech magazine, we always want to look ahead, and what's the main topic in AI are agents. So do you see agents, do you have example for agents in the field of sustainability which really do something better, more efficient, or is there a change? Do you think it could be a game changer, or do you have examples?
Well, though it's early days, I would say yes, yes, and yes. And what some of you might have heard from the IO developer conference that we had in Mountain View yesterday, we are actually just implementing an agent, an AI agent in basically our crown jewel in Google search, starting with the US to run complex searches, spitting out a result in an agent-human interaction. If you translate that into sustainability, so the ability, the enormous ability of an agent to crunch complex data, to learn, to adapt, to create multi-level actions independently, autonomously, right? And translate that onto the big solutions that we need, the big challenges that we have, you will see that agents could be a superb support for getting to these goals. I'll give you one example, starting with a really small one. So the district of Wilmersdorf-Charlottenburg has started to use the Environmental Insights Explorer data on transport and building emissions, whatever they need, for their mandatory reporting on the greenhouse gas emissions that they have to do, I think, on an annual basis. just imagine an agent crunching that data, modeling, looking into historic data that they want to compare, and then just doing the report autonomously would save them a lot of time. It's a very, very easy task, and this task can be extrapolated. When you look into energy savings, when you look into smart grids and how you can run a smart grid, the entire journey from modeling demand of energy, taking green energy and adding that to it, and also just at the inside of the consumer side, regulate consumption for more energy efficiency. I think that is a big, big task that an agent could solve for us near term.
Is it a topic for you, Peter, at Infineon agents?
It's about enabling and then, of course, making use of them, because we as a manufacturer, we want to increase our efficiency on our own. And therefore, I think that's an innovative approach which we have to make use of and will benefit from. So answer is yes.
Yes, okay. So agents, transparency, talking to the local communities, I think we had a lot to do. Thank you for the discussion.
Thank you.
Thanks.